Hey there. Welcome to Product Marketing Maestros, Tales from the Front Lines. I'm your host, Nitin Karthik. As Director of Product Marketing and a top product marketing voice, I've always found that real-world case studies are the true litmus test for the effectiveness of any product marketing strategy. And that is why in this show, we dive into the minds of industry titans, as well as rising stars, unpacking their expertise in action-packed episodes that showcase the power of product marketing through real-world case studies. And today, my friends, we are joined by product marketing maestro Molly Chapman, who is a product marketing alliance ambassador and head of product marketing at Moorepay based in the UK. Molly has been named to the prestigious 30 under 30 honor roll by TTG, and Molly believes in championing the voice of the customer. Molly is also passionate about bringing new products to market, giving customers a seat at the table, growing on communication to align sales and marketing teams. She also ensures brand consistency while leading a customer-centric data approach to user experience. And also, she impacts product design as well as launch. At Moorepay, Molly has been managing a team of 4, and she owns go-to-market strategy and execution for all SaaS and service-based products. And she also generates partner revenue through co-selling opportunities. And she works closely with the Microsoft Partner Center. Molly also owns persona research, product messaging, and value proposition. She also owns quarterly customer forums, product-based demos, and she has to drive lead generation and a lot more. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Molly Chapman. Molly, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Nitin. What an introduction. You've made me sound really good. So thank you so much for having me. I love working with a PMA, and I'm really excited to be here today and chat.
Okay, great. Wonderful, Molly. So really excited. And today, Molly, we're going to give our audience a situation from your experience. And Molly will use the ABC framework. So we'll talk about the antecedents, what were the prior challenges, we'll talk about the behaviors, what were some of the actions that you took, and we'll talk about the conclusion, how things played out. So with that, Molly, pick your situation and tell us what were the antecedents, what were the prior challenges?
Yeah, perfect. So what I want to talk to you about today is about our opportunities loss process and also the data around that. So what I saw when I took on board this area of our product marketing function was a pretty self-centered view of opportunities lost. Within our CRM, we had a little bit of data. We sort of understood out of all the leads we're generating, how many of those opportunities were we losing. But what we didn't have was sort of who we were losing to, why we were losing, and we certainly didn't have any forecastable revenue either. And when I say self-centered, what I mean is we didn't have any idea about our churn, our total addressable market, and actually what it meant to win or lose within that space. So that was the problem that we had at hand. All of that meant that the information that we fed through into our product team was going off sort of gut feeling. It was a little bit of fluff. And of course, any product marketer doesn't want to hang their hat on that. We wanted really robust data from our opportunities lost. So that was the problem that we were faced with as a product marketing team.
Yeah, and I love that, Molly, because I think a lot of our audience may also be facing similar challenges, right? So wonderful. So thank you, Molly, for laying out the antecedents. Now let's talk about the behaviors. Given these challenges, what were some of the actions that you and your team engaged in?
Yeah, of course. So for me, it was really important that I understood my objectives from the get-go and also understood our stakeholders. And then I wanted to formulate a plan off the back of that. So in terms of objectives, I was pretty clear. I wanted to know all of my W's. I wanted to know the who, the what, the when, the why. And really important for me was to understand that revenue, the monetary value that we tied into that, because I knew that was going to be really important when it came to analyzing the data later down the line and getting buy-in from those stakeholders. So in terms of my stakeholders, I knew a big one was the product marketing team, the function as a whole. What did we want from this project? Well, we wanted really clear, digestible data. And as I mentioned, we wanted to know that monetary value. I then wanted to understand my product team. So what did they want from opportunities lost? What did good look like for them? And it came down to easy, digestible data and something they can dip in and out of, and a narrative that wrapped around it. And that was my job as a product marketing leader, to understand that narrative and deliver that narrative as well. And then last but by no means least, our sales team. So the people who are actually inputting all that data, we knew that the foundations of this project sat with really good data. And without sales team buy-in, we were going to get dummy data. If they didn't see the value, we were going to get poor data as well. So it was really important that we understood them. So once I understood my objectives and I understood my stakeholders, then I could formulate a very easy 3-step plan. And that sort of looks like the first step was looking at revamping our CRM and what it meant to have opportunities lost data within our CRM. So really understanding the fields that we were breaking down, understanding at what stage we were losing our opportunities, who we were losing it to, and then why we're losing it as well. Of course, for a product manager and for myself, I was very interested in product offering, but I was well aware that there's other aspects that fall into that, things like relationships, our pricing, contracts, that sort of thing as well. So I had to work really closely with our product team to understand what did good like for them. If we sort of had a magic wand, what did the end goal look like, and how do we break that down? So we needed to be top level enough that we could pull through themes for product offering, but not too granular that we couldn't drive anything from that. We couldn't sort of drive roadmap actions. So that was really important for me. And yeah, working closely with our sales team. They had a process. I say process is very loose at that stage, but we didn't want to add more admin into that team. So how can we work with them and really understand that? So once I'd gone through that, the second stage for me was actually just automating what I could. We were working within Excel, and with all the best will in the world, our product managers weren't using it. They weren't adopting it. They didn't love it. And when I sat one-on-one with a couple of our product managers, I said, hey, you know, I give you this information, I give you this data, and I don't really feel like you're engaging with it. And they simply said, I don't want to look in Excel. I don't want to dig it out. It's really hard for me to understand, and I simply am not going to use it unless it's digestible. So we did away with that tool and we moved into Power BI, which has been really pivotal for us. So we got the foundations right within revamping our CRM, and then we made it pretty, which all product marketers do. So we got all that information in Power BI, and that was really crucial for me because not only did I have this, how many times are we coming up against this competitor? I then had how much revenue are we losing to this competitor, and at what stage we're losing to this competitor. What was more important for me was understanding when we do come up against this competitor, what's our probability of winning or losing? So what are our competitor ratios? Now, understanding that data then meant that I could flow through into our battle cards. Okay, we're coming up against this competitor a lot. We're losing a lot. Do we need to refresh that battle card? Do we need to run extra sales training? So that was really, really important for me. The revenue piece was equally as important to bring through those themes. So then when we came to business cases, it was super easy for me to then say, okay, actually, if we had this feature, we would have gained this amount of revenue. And it really solidified that credibility of the product marketing function within the business as well, which obviously was fantastic. The last stage for me was getting to the piece where we add some real value, which is our qualitative research. So I had all of my data, it was at my fingertips. And then on a monthly basis, I got to do the bit of my job that I love, which is actually just talking to people one-on-one. Having that data in Power BI meant that actually I could just look at that ICP, so that ideal customer profile where we've lost that prospect. How can I speak to them on a one-on-one basis? Yes, it's important to see the people around the edge, but the people that we should be winning and the people that we want to repeat, those repeatable customers where we know we can win, why have we lost that prospect? So I would then call down these prospects and speak to them on a one-on-one and gather that qualitative information, which actually then was really valuable, combining that with the data. So that's sort of where we got to in terms of objectives, our stakeholders, and then that planned approach as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, what a methodical three-step process. So now, Molly, bring it home. I cannot hear to wait. What was the conclusion? How did these situations play out for you?
Yeah, I think from a product marketing perspective, we love to talk about where we win, and that's sort of where we feel safe, you know, understanding where we win, because that's our USP, that's our differentiator, that's what brings in our proposition, brings in our messaging. However, sometimes we can shy away from where we fail. Where do we fall down? What are the gaps within our product or offering or proposition? But there's so much value to be had there. And I encourage people who are listening, if they haven't invested in that opportunities lost process, take a look at it and just refine it. Even if you can do half of it, you can get it in a state where you can sort of visualize it, you're going to see some huge capital gains. When you're going through that process, a couple of things I want to add. The first one, as I mentioned right at the very beginning, is don't be self-centered. Look at the market as a whole, look at the competition. Just being self-centered and looking at yourself is going to be very narrow-minded and only give you sort of like a very surface level of what's going on within your market. So definitely look outside of that. My second point is automate what you can. As a product marketer, you are of little use when your head is stuck in an Excel. You're much more useful when you're speaking to people one-on-one, you're building out that narrative and you're adding real value. So you're combining that qual with that quant data. So make sure you automate what you can, and where possible, bring in experts and make sure that you're not working in silos as well. And then last but by no means least, no process is perfect, and you're going to have to work with your stakeholders really, really closely. And don't be afraid to refine it. As I mentioned, when we went through that sort of CRM piece where we're looking at what that looks like, make sure you're working within a sandbox, bring on board sort of, you know, a subsection of your sales team and make sure that they're happy with it, and refine that process. And don't be afraid to say, actually, this isn't working. We need to take some steps forward, but always work closely with your stakeholders. So yeah, that was it from me. Hopefully you found that useful.
Oh, that was absolutely fabulous. And just to reiterate a couple of points for the audience, so I love how you mentioned that we need to combine the qualitative and quantitative, right? So folks out there, make sure you don't ignore one of those. I love how you mentioned that we need to automate as much as we can, right? We're not so useful when our head is buried down in sheets. So make sure that you automate so that you can actually talk to folks out there. And the third piece I love, which is iterate, right? It's not going to be perfect right out of the box. So get your version 1.0 out there and then continue to iterate. Wonderful. So Molly, this has been amazing. Thank you very much. Molly, if people wanted to find out more about you, where can they learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn and I am more than happy to talk about opportunities lost or anything within the product marketing space. As you might very well tell, I do love to chat. So please do drop me a line. I'm always open to talking about all things product marketing.
Absolutely fabulous. So folks, there you have it. Definitely reach out to Molly for more great advice like this. And armed with that knowledge, let's make the magic happen.